areas. I'll invite Dr. Gideon Arulmani to be the first speaker for these emerging areas. Dr. Gideon, again, as you all know, is a student of the Department of Psychology. Gideon is a clinical psychologist with an MPhil in, again, medical and social psychology from NIMHANS, and a doctoral degree in career psychology from the University of Portsmouth, UK. He holds advanced diplomas in counseling, philosophy, and theology. He is director the Promise Foundation, headquartered in Bangalore, India. He is founder, Indian Association for Career and Livelihood Planning, international fellow, NICEC UK, professor of the Martin Luther University, India, vice president of the International Association for Educational and Vocational Guidance, vice president, Alumni Association of this department, international fellow of the Consortium for Multicultural Psychology Research, USA, and a visiting academic at the ILO and various universities abroad. So as you can see, Gideon wears many hats. His first book, Career Counseling, a handbook in 2004, is today prescribed as a textbook for career counseling students. He is the lead editor of the Handbook for Career Development, International Perspectives. He is an international development consultant and has led assignments in over 30 countries, including Northern and Sub-Saharan Africa, South and Southeast Asia, and Northern Europe, through UN agencies such as the ILO and UNICEF, and other multilaterals such as the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, GIZ, and Helvetas. Apart from all this that he does, Gideon is also interested in handcraft. He has Moila, that is Move On With Your Life, is a company he has informally started that produces natural handcrafted jewelry and artifacts from found objects. Gideon's strongest passion, and you'll be surprised to know, is not psychology. It is making wine. He has a small vineyard where he grows an Indian version of Shiraz. So I'm sure we'll have an excellent talk from Gideon. I welcome you, Gideon.
Can you hear? Yes, okay. Right, thank you, ma'am, for that introduction. I don't know how much of that is fiction, and it's all true. Before I start, I'm very nervous because it's very hard to speak to people from whom you have learned. And before I start, I would like to acknowledge the fact that people who laid the foundations of my journey in psychology are sitting here in this room. Dr. Sudha Bhogle, Dr. Kiran, when I studied under her at NIMHANS, Dr. Jamuna, Dr. Harini, and so many of you. I owe you a great debt of gratitude. And I don't think I'll ever be able to repay that. One way in which I try to repay that is to emulate you and to try and remember how I was taught in these classes. Right, so having said that, now it may appear that I'm running away, but I'm not. I just want to go and operate the PowerPoint myself from down there, yeah? This session, this entire afternoon, has been dedicated to new ideas that are coming through in the field of psychology, isn't it? Now, one of the areas, which is about 8 to 10 years old, is psychology's engagement with the notion of sustainability. We are hearing this so much, isn't it? And those of you who are young people here, I have to apologize on behalf of my generation that we are not leaving behind a planet for you which is livable, right? So sustainability has become a burning issue in our lives today. But if you read the title of my presentation today, will one of you just read the first part? Nature doesn't need us. And you'll see in this very powerful video just now that we need nature. And it's from there that I'd like to derive possibly some principles that we can keep in mind if we are wanting to develop a psychology of sustainability. No, not the video. No. You can hear it. Slideshow. Yeah. So now, when we speak of sustainability, okay, can you hear me at the back? Oh, they're streaming. All right. So I hope there's people who are online can hear me. Right, so now when we say sustainability, we all know that the United Nations has laid out 17 sustainability goals. And I thought I would just put that on the screen. Yeah. I put that on the screen. I'm not going to go through all of them. So when I was looking at these 17 sustainability goals, the theme that runs through all of them, what are some of them? Yeah? Remove poverty, education, career, workplace, all of this finally summarizes into well-being. If there's one theme that runs across all the 17 sustainability goals, it's the theme of well-being. And that is the theme of our discussion today. So what I'm arguing for a psychology of sustainability is that if sustainability is a global goal, and if well-being is a theme that's embedded in sustainability, then well-being is a global aim that we should be looking at. And if it's well-being, it comes into our field of psychology. And those are the 3 or 4 points I'd like us to very quickly look at. It's about the self, me, and the earth. Sustainability of psychology would bring us into how I am connecting with the earth according to Chandler. Jones, if you look at Jones's work, what he's saying, or he or she is saying, is that we have an impact on the world in which we live. So human behavioral effects on the environment. That's the second theme that I found in the literature. The next one, by Fabio is a friend of mine, is where she's trying to contextualize sustainability and psychology, where she's pointing it out to be an exercise in primary prevention. Yeah, those of you who studied health would know there is primary prevention, there's secondary prevention, tertiary, and goes on. Yeah? Primary prevention is right at the beginning where you're trying to prevent the problem even before it starts. So that is a thinking that we should perhaps engage with if you're looking at sustainability and psychology, that it's an exercise in primary prevention. Yeah. So when we say it's primary prevention, what are we meaning? One is, it requires the psychologist, it requires this discipline to increase the resources that individuals have that are available to them. Yeah? Access is a big issue for us, isn't it? When you're poor, you don't have access to education. When you're a woman, you don't have access to certain kinds of rights, although it's all written in the papers. We all know how our female counterparts suffer those traumas. Yeah? So one of the issues that comes up in talking of primary prevention is increasing resources. So in our work as psychologists, can we increase resources available to the individual? Yeah? Second, she goes on, so preventing rather than curing. All of us as clinical, or at least me as a clinical psychologist, have a very poor curative record. Yeah? Drug addicts I've worked with, substance abuse, alcoholics I've worked with, relapse. And they keep coming back. Right? So can we therefore look at prevention rather than cure? That's the second principle that Fabio speaks about. The third one is promotion of well-being. So if you're going to prevent, what does that mean by default? It means that we are promoting well-being. Yeah? So these are 3 principles that I came across when I did the review of literature. It's a very young field, and these are 3 main studies. Now, my comment on this, my own critical analysis of these leaders in the field, is that their view of sustainability is that it is human to nature. What can I do to save nature? I don't think we can do anything. You can recycle for all you want. You can talk about this and, consciousness about resources and stuff like this. But when can we come to a point of saying we can learn from nature? Because as you will see in this really powerful video, Julia Roberts is the voice, and she tells us that nature doesn't need us. We need nature. Let me show you that video, and then I'll come to the latter part of it.
Others call me Mother Nature. I've been here for over 4.5 billion years, 22,500 times longer than you. I don't really need people, but people need me. Yes, your future depends on me. When I thrive, you thrive. When I falter, you falter. Or worse. But I've been here for eons. I have fed species greater than you, and I have starved species greater than you. My oceans, my soil, my flowing streams, my forests, they all can take you or leave you. How you choose to live each day, whether you regard or disregard me, doesn't really matter to me. One way or the other. Your actions will determine your fate, not mine. I am nature. I will go on. I am prepared to evolve. Are you?
Did you get the, yeah. It's so powerful, isn't it? It gives you goosebumps. But what are the key themes?
Some call me nature.
What are the key themes? Nature doesn't need us. We need nature. And what does she end with? I am evolving. Are you? And for me, that is the question that a psychology of sustainability needs to start grappling with. What is the meaning of this evolution, and how can we contextualize it? How can we write textbooks on it? How can we develop therapeutic interventions for it? Yeah? I have 3 ideas that I'd just like to share with you. 2 more minutes? Yeah, in 2 minutes I'll run you through it, and then you might get a... So, yeah, 3 interesting principles that I've tried to experiment with. I'll focus on the last one, but I'd just like to take you through the first principle is this paradox of change and constancy. Something that you will see around us in nature. Look at those the story of the butterfly. Yeah? There is nothing apparently common between the caterpillar and the butterfly, but they are the same. Yeah? So what is the sustainability principle over there? Yeah? Same thing, an egg to a beautiful bird. So a sustainability principle there that we can bring into our therapeutic practice is to help our clients discover what is there within them that is unchanging, that is steady, that describes them, their essence. All these are ideas from the East. In the keynote, we were told very strongly that stop looking to the West. There's enough over here. This is from here, isn't it? Let's move on to the next principle. Sensitivity to the other as the second principle. Yeah? In our philosophies, the other is an ever-present reality. Whereas in the West, it's me and my circle, the individualistic versus the collectivistic approaches. Yeah? Look at the bee and the sunflower over there. There cannot be a bee without the sunflower. Because when the bee comes to the sunflower, it comes for the honey, and in the process of coming for the honey, it pollinates. Yeah? So is there a principle there for us as psychologists to bring to our clients? Yeah? We are all interconnected, and in that interconnectedness lies the notion of well-being. Yeah. Moving on. Yeah. Here I'd like to spend a bit of time, just a minute or so. Our understanding of development, Western understanding of development, is usually linear. But from here to higher and higher and higher. The Eastern understanding of development is that it's non-linear. It's spirular, it's spiral. Yeah? So the spiral idea. Yeah? So in our practice, are we looking at an approach which is competitive, stress-filled, ladder to the stars, or are we looking at nature and learning from nature, which is development is like this. There is no ladder over here. There is no getting to the top. It is just living life to its fullest. Yeah? Tendrils, flowers, shells, galaxies. What's common to all of them? Isn't it? When we walk out now, look at nature. There are no straight lines in nature. There are no ladders in nature. Yes, there are spirals. And what does this mean for us as psychologists, perhaps? I'll go further from here. Yeah. One principle is learning to adapt. If you keep the spiral as a model, learning to adapt, discover, and commit to renewal. So development in the spiral approach it's not discrete. I finished grade 1, now I'm going to grade 2 and grade 3. It's overlapping. When you look at the way a plant grows, there is no step 1, step 2, step 3. Isn't it? It's just an unfolding of an inner capability. Yeah, so that's one idea. New learning, is that a mandate for a psychology of sustainability? Yeah? And what is this new learning? It's not the accumulation of knowledge. That's not learning. So new learning, when you look at nature, could be learning to look at the past. We are compelled to look at the future. But we know there is no future. The future is a function of a combination of the past and the present. We construct our future here today by hammering it out today. And can we bring that into our psychology? Constructing a future, like the spiral. Yeah, constructing new futures. That was what I was saying. Yeah? Right, so I'm coming to the last slide, ma'am. Yeah? The last point. So what is the focus? When we look at the sustainability aspect of bringing sustainability into psychology, we are no longer saying avoid, control, withdraw, cut down. That's the economist's perspective. The psychologist's perspective could be promote. Promote what? Enrichment. Have interventions that talk about enrichment. Look at interventions that talk about growth and renewal. Look at flexible change, flexible adaptability. Because if the plant cannot adapt, it will die. It will not evolve. Isn't it? That's why we are dying. Yeah? So if we can learn something from nature, it could be these principles. So the point over there, promotion of self-mediated personal evolution. Yeah? To conclude, that's a picture of a wave, an unformed wave. Yeah? But if you take that to my conclusion, what am I saying over here? Yeah. A psychology of sustainability would not concern itself with putting the world in order. The world doesn't need us. Whatever we do, how much ever we recycle, we're not going to save the world. We've gone too far. Right? Because the world is order. I'm not saying the world is in order. The world is order. The principles of well-being are there all around us. And it's for us as psychologists to look into that and draw upon those principles. My last point, so therefore what is it? If you look at it a little romantically and poetically, it is for us to put ourselves in harmony with the music of the natural world. Thank you. I'll leave it over.
We had a completely different topic just now on the psychology for sustainability. The theme was nature does not need us, we need nature. Gideon brought in a lot of new concepts like spiral growth, no ladders, harmony, the Eastern philosophies, which leads us very well to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Jyothsna Kamath. Again, as I usually start, a student of this department. Jyothsna is now presently working as Assistant Professor of Psychology at Mount Carmel College Autonomous, Bangalore. She graduated from the Department of, yes, her faculty is here who are very happy to see her. She graduated from the Department of Psychology with an MSc degree in 2006. So I think she is the youngest of the panelists here. And completed her PhD in 2013 under the guidance of Dr. Ashok. Yeah. She served for over a decade in the department, first as a UGC research fellow and then as guest faculty. Her primary area of interest is Indian psychology, with several papers presented and published. She will be talking to us now about how East meets West, how Indian psychology can help us understand well-being. Welcome, Jyothsna.
Very good afternoon to the dignitaries on the dais, and the entire family of our department. First off, I'm really grateful for this opportunity to the organizers. I'm deeply humbled and honored that I am part of such an esteemed panel today. Thank you. So let me begin. I have just a couple of points that I'd like to put forth. I'm specifically speaking about some insights that Indian psychology can offer to enhance well-being. And I think this is a very beautiful continuation from the previous talk that we just had from Sir about what insights the Eastern and especially the Indian thought systems can provide for enhancement of well-being. Yeah, can we begin the slideshow, please? Right, so I'd like to just make a small introduction, not too long, just to kind of dispel any notions about what Indian psychology is, some misconceptions that may be there. Well, before we go on to what is Indian psychology, let me just clarify that this is not Indian psychology, okay? Indian psychology is not, is there a problem? Okay, it's not just a psychology of the Indians. Okay, we are not restricting it to the geographical subcontinent. The next slide, please. Yeah, it's not what psychologists in India do, because most of the time, as we've seen, most of our studies by Indian psychologists are replicative of Western studies. So that's not what Indian psychology is about. It's not the only. It's not an approach meant for only Indian problems and issues. And it's also not, as I said, confined to the Indian geographic area. So that makes us, we need to clarify that Indian psychology is born of, or it's part of the Indian philosophical framework, and it is basically it's a compilation of the psychologically relevant principles, theories, models that we can cull out from the Indian traditions and not specifically restricted to the Indian population, but which hold pan-human interest, okay, for improving the human condition as a whole. Yes, okay. Those who might be aware of many of the systems of Indian psychology know that we cover a lot of these concepts, okay. We speak about well-being in all its levels, right from the nature of the self to goals of life, purpose in life, meaning in life, methods of self-discipline, self-regulation. What is the ideal of human functioning? We've heard of Sthita Prajna, we've heard of the Bodhisattva. These are all the ideal human functioning. What are the moral and ethical foundations of life? Of course, we have a lot of inputs towards mental health and hygiene, but which my talk is not going to touch upon today. But we will also see that there are a lot of observances, practices geared towards both individual and collective growth. So I'd like to just focus on 3 areas where we could find some applications of Indian psychology. 1 in the field of education, 2 at the workplace, and 3 at a larger society and a community level. So with regard to schools, colleges, universities, what can Indian psychology offer for student well-being, okay, for children and students' well-being? A lot of these concepts can be found in terms of holistic learning, value-based education and character development, strategies for enhancing mindfulness and concentration, self-reflection, of course, the need of the hour, which is stress management for students, more of a service orientation or seva bhava, as we say, and nature-based. More than talking about the theory, my idea is to give you some examples of where these are being practiced. So there are some, because this is important to answer the question, where is the proof for all this? Okay, so there is evidence-based research where we find very, very promising outcomes when we come to apply these concepts. For example, you have various school systems, curriculum, colleges and universities which are applying these principles very, very successfully. To just name a couple of them, you have the Aurobindo Center for Education focuses on 5 aspects of education, right, corresponding to the Panchakosha model. Kendriya Vidyalaya and CBSE schools have mandated mindfulness in the curriculum. Yoga-based techniques, in fact, are very own IITs and IIMs and JNUs, all of them have incorporated many of these techniques successfully for student stress and conflict resolution, and project works also to imbibe these ideas into the student community. Taking it forward to the workplace, okay? Workplace also, when you talk about industrial and organizational psychology, you have many Indian psychological concepts that are being applied very successfully again in terms of not only just workplace stress management, but also to ensure better teamwork, harmony at the workplace, productivity, performance enhancement, and conflict resolution, which is becoming increasingly problematic when we speak of, let's say, mergers and acquisitions, leadership and ethical decision making, and overall workplace ethics and social responsibility. We all know about CSR initiatives. So it's not just CSR, okay? If you will see, I also have some evidence here which very famous companies and organizations like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, they have introduced leadership training based on many of the modules found in Indian psychology. Google India, Tata Group and Mahindra offer yoga and meditation programs. There is something called as a Mindful Mondays initiative at the TCS, which looks at helping the employees start the week with guided meditation, right? The TIS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences and Indian School of Business, and many others. IIM Bangalore also offers leadership courses based on Mahabharata and the management, Bhagavad Gita and the management, Gandhian philosophy and Ahimsavada and all of those, okay, which are again being currently implemented in a lot of organizations. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Finally, coming to a larger global reach of Indian psychology at the society and the community level, there are a lot of ways in which we can incorporate this, because as has been put forth right from the morning session, okay, we need to see how we can help the larger society around us. So even if we are talking about, of course, sustainable living, which is the hot topic of the hour, it's the concern for all of us, community mental health, public health, mindful parenting, because today we have a lot of issues coming up among children and adolescents, and parents seem to be in a fix as to how to deal with this. Okay, so probably family and community bonding needs some help. Conflict resolution, social harmony, leadership and governance, and the list goes on. These are just some examples that I'm putting forth. A key area which has been successful is in terms of interventions for prisoners. Okay, so the Bihar School of Yoga was the first in 1994 to introduce programs for at the Tihar jail, which is kind of continuing today, and a lot of them have become expert yoga trainers themselves, and they have found statistically significant, if that's important, reductions in many of the parameters that they have tested. Okay, there's the Bal Vihar program by the Chinmaya Mission worldwide, which has contributed a lot to children and their development. IAS officers are also being offered training programs based on the Karma Yoga model, right? And ethical governance, Raja Dharma. And of course, we have the Satyagraha principles and the Jain principles of Anekantavada. All of these which are geared to what sounds quite cliched, but what is the need of the hour, which is world peace, okay, conflict resolution. So I just want to, open our eyes towards some directions that we can look forward to in terms of Indian psychology. So I'd just like to conclude with what is our path ahead. Of course, the journey is not without its challenges. Some of the key challenges that I foresee are, since we are still trying to adhere to the scientific model, many of these variables may not technically be able to be measured in terms of standardization, reliability, validity, and all of that. That may be true, but that's not the point. Okay? The point is not to be able to get appreciation for a coterie of scientists to say that, okay, you all can come into our club. The idea is how can we be relevant to the larger concern, to the larger society. Probably we need some time how best to align some of these concepts with modern psychology that we understand today. So there is a need to find the common ground between Western and Eastern. There are a lot of biases in terms of cultural, theoretical convictions, and also probably, as I said, misconceptions that these are based on religion and so on. There will be issues because many of the source material is in a language which is not currently much in use today. For example, Sanskrit or Prakrit or Pali. So that poses a little bit of a challenge. So we need qualified people in that area. And there is always the possibility for commercialization and misuse. I mean, we've heard a lot of different forms of yoga today, modern forms, which don't align with what the philosophy stands for. All right, so anything and everything standing in, in a contorted position, looking up at the sky is considered as yoga. That's not yoga. Okay, yoga is a way of life, which is a topic for another day. But yes, the future is not bleak. Okay, there's a lot of potential. I foresee a lot of opportunity in that the foundation has been laid by the IKS division of the Government of India, which is promoting a lot of Indian knowledge systems, and that includes Indian psychology. We are finding evidence-based research. If you're specifically talking about dysfunctions and disorders, there is a famous university called as the S. Vyasa, Swami Vivekananda Yoga Anusthana Samsthana, which has done yeoman's work in using yoga, pranayama techniques for individuals with varying levels of disorders and dysfunctions. If not for that, even if it's for the average person who's looking to improve their lives, right? We have customized strategies which you can use for personal growth and evolvement. The future looks at trying to integrate Indian psychology with the upcoming fields, okay, with technology, with AI, with neuroscience. We have measurable outcomes in terms of neurotransmitter levels, okay, physiological indicators, having practiced various forms of Indian psychological principles. And yes, definitely the need of the hour is what the philosophies of the East have always spoken about as sustainability, which seems to be a new concept today, but it's not. It's been part of our culture. And we just need to take a step back and rethink, if we are living life the way we should be, because if we just go back to some of these principles, we find that sustainability runs through our very veins. So with that thought, I'd just like to leave you all with some optimism about the future of psychology, where we can definitely include a huge component of Indian psychology, both in principle and in practice. Thank you very much.